A spoiled socialite demanded I give her my reserved hotel suite, saying, "I'm more important than you." When I refused, she scoffed, "I'll just have my daddy call the manager." Minutes later, the manager arrived and shook my hand. Her face turned white as he said, "Actually, she owns the entire hotel." I hadn't planned on returning to Charleston so soon, especially not under these circumstances. After the divorce, I wanted to stay away from anything that reminded me of my past. Charleston was tied to a version of me I didn't like anymore, quiet, agreeable, the kind of woman who smiled through insults at dinner parties and apologized when someone else stepped on her foot. But now I was different. And I was back. 3 years ago, I left a 20-year marriage with 2 suitcases and a bank account that barely had enough for a month's rent. My ex, Greg, thought I'd crawl back once the money ran out. But instead, I took a small inheritance from my late aunt and invested it in something no one expected: hospitality real estate. I started small. Bought into a rundown boutique hotel in Asheville, flipped it, learned the ropes. One thing led to another, and eventually, I partnered with a small but sharp group of investors. Today, I co-owned 5 high-end hotels under the Crown Magnolia name. Charleston's location was our biggest. It was my baby. I'd pick the colors, the scent in the lobby, even the plates in the restaurant. And no one knew that the woman behind the curtain was me, Laura Langley. That week, I was doing an anonymous inspection. I didn't want the staff fussing. My assistant booked me into the Magnolia Suite, the largest and most luxurious room in the building. It wasn't just a room. It had a fireplace, a clawfoot tub with a skyline view, and a balcony that looked out over the harbor. I landed at Charleston International early. I didn't tell anyone. I liked watching how the team handled things without knowing the boss was in the building. I walked in through the front doors with just a carry-on and a linen shirt that still smelled like plain air. I gave the concierge a nod and told him I was there to check in, but I knew the room probably wasn't ready yet. He was polite and offered me a drink on the house while I waited. I sat down in the corner of the lobby by the ivy wall. That's when she came in. I heard her before I saw her. Her heels clacked like gunshots on the marble. She dragged her suitcase behind her like it offended her. Blonde, fake tan, oversized sunglasses that didn't come off even when she stepped inside. She wore a pink designer tracksuit, lips plumped to hell, and that walk like she owned the ground under her shoes. She strode right up to the concierge desk, smacked her nails on the counter, and said, "Hi, I need the Magnolia Suite. I know it's reserved, but I'm not waiting. Just put me in." The poor guy froze. He blinked like he wasn't sure if he heard her right. "I'm sorry, ma'am. The Magnolia Suite is already booked." She snapped her gum and flipped her hair. "By who?" He hesitated. "I can't share guest information." She rolled her eyes and leaned over the desk. "Listen, I'm more important than whoever it is. Just make it happen. I'll only need it for 2 nights. It's not a big deal." I stayed quiet. Just watched. I knew this was about to get worse. "I'm sorry," the concierge said again, firmer this time. "The suite is taken." Then she laughed. Full-on scoffed. "Oh, please. I'll just have my daddy call the manager. He's on the board at Coastal Bank. I'm sure that'll fix this little misunderstanding." I'd had enough. I stood up, walked over slowly, and said, "It's not a misunderstanding. That suite is mine." She turned like she'd been slapped. Took off her sunglasses like she needed to see me better. "Who are you?" she asked, looking me up and down. "Nobody told me someone already checked in." "I haven't. But I reserved it. My name's on it." She looked confused for a second. Then annoyed. Then disgusted. "Are you like a CEO or something? A singer? Who even are you?" I stared her down. "Just someone who booked early and pays her own bills." That pissed her off. She spun on her heel, whipped out her phone, and started texting furiously. I heard her muttering about backwards hillbilly cities and idiots who don't know class. I ignored her and walked back to the seating area. I figured she'd throw her tantrum, get a different room, and I could go relax upstairs. But no, not her. 10 minutes later, she was pacing like a lion in a cage. Her phone rang. She picked up and said, "Yeah, tell him to get here. I want this fixed now. I'm not sleeping in a basic-ass room like a peasant." That's when Michael showed up, the general manager. I'd known him for years. Trusted him. He looked around and spotted me. Walked straight over. "Ms. Langley," he said warmly, shaking my hand. "Good to see you. Your suite is just being finalized now. We'll bring your bags up shortly." The girl's mouth fell open. She looked between me and him, like she was watching a bad dream unfold. "Wait," she stammered. "You know her?" Michael turned slowly. "Yes, she's the owner of the hotel." Her lips moved, but no words came out. Just a faint gasp. Her skin went pale under the makeup. She looked like someone had poured ice water down her spine. I smiled. "Not big. Just enough." "She was trying to take your suite?" Michael asked. I shrugged. "She said she was more important than me." Michael nodded. "Well, that's awkward." Then, without missing a beat, I said, "Put her in the Garden View King. Far wing. Let her rest. She's clearly exhausted." He smiled. "Of course." I turned to walk away. As I passed her, I said gently, "Next time, maybe just be polite. You never know who you're talking to." Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't stop walking. I thought that would be the end of it. A spoiled brat learns a lesson, gets embarrassed, and moves on. But that's not what happened. 2 hours after I settled into the Magnolia suite, I got a knock on the door. Room service, I figured. I'd ordered some shrimp and grits and a glass of white wine. It wasn't room service. It was Michael, the manager, looking tense. "We have a situation," he said quietly. "Thought you should know." He stepped inside, closed the door behind him, and pulled out his phone. There were pictures. The socialite, her name was Tinsley March, apparently had posted a story on Instagram. And not just a story. A full-blown rant. She'd taken a photo of the hotel lobby, tagged the location, and called it a trash operation run by backwater morons. She said she was harassed by a crazy old woman pretending to be management and accused us of refusing her rights as a VIP guest. She even said someone threatened her safety. The comments were blowing up. Her followers, over 200,000 of them, were eating it up. Somebody had already left a 1-star Google review claiming we abused guests and scammed people out of suites. Michael looked pissed. "We're already getting calls," he said. "People canceling spa appointments, asking if it's true." I stared at the photos again. My jaw clenched. "This isn't just petty anymore," I said. "She's trying to damage the brand." And that was when I made a decision. "Do you know where she is now?" I asked. He nodded. "She's still in her room. Room 211. "Good," I said. "I'm going to pay her a visit." I didn't storm in. I knocked. Calmly. 3 short knocks. She opened the door wearing a silk robe and a face mask. When she saw me, she rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. "Seriously? What do you want?" "To talk," I said. "Face to face." She tried to shut the door. I put my foot in the way. "You crossed a line," I said quietly. "Posting lies online? Calling my staff trash? That's not going to end the way you think it will." She smirked. "What, you gonna sue me?" "I'll delete it later." "Chill out. That's not how this works." She laughed again. "You think anyone cares? You're old. You don't understand how clout works. I don't even need the suite anymore. I already got what I wanted." I tilted my head. "What did you want?" She paused, then said, "Attention. Drama. Followers. People love a villain. You're perfect." That was the moment I realized she wasn't just rude. She was dangerous. She didn't care about the hotel. She didn't care about the truth. She was willing to burn everything down just to get more likes. Delete the posts, I said. Now. She crossed her arms. Make me. I stared at her for a moment. Then I turned and walked away. Because I would make her. But not by yelling. Not by begging. I had something better. Back in my suite, I called a friend. Daryl, a media consultant I'd worked with when we launched our hotel brand. He'd handled PR crises for bigger names than mine. Can you dig into someone? I asked. Always. Name? Tinsley March. 20-something. Influencer type. Just posted a bunch of lies about my hotel. He chuckled. Say no more. I'll call you in a few hours. I didn't have to wait that long. 2 hours later, he texted me a link. It was to a lawsuit. Filed 6 months ago. Tinsley had stayed at a high-end spa in Arizona, caused a scene, then posted fake claims of harassment. The spa fought back, sued for defamation. She settled out of court. This was her thing. This was a pattern. And I had proof. I called Michael back. Send our lawyer that link, I said. We're drafting a cease and desist. And then we're going public. The next morning, I met with our in-house legal team in a private conference room on the 2nd floor. I didn't sleep much. My stomach turned all night. I wasn't just angry. I was focused. Cold. This wasn't about a room anymore. It was about reputation. Mine. My staff's. My hotel's. And I wasn't going to let it slide. The lawyer, Emma, was efficient and sharp. She'd handled similar cases before, though usually not this personal. She has a pattern, I told her, laying out the documents Daryl had sent me. She plays the victim, builds a fake story, damages real businesses, then disappears before the mess settles. She's done this before. She'll do it again. Emma nodded. We'll send the cease and desist letter immediately. But if you really want to go after her, we'll need to push harder. I do, I said. Good. Then we start with the truth. While Emma worked on the paperwork, I made some quiet calls of my own. I still had friends in Charleston, people who owed me favors, people who trusted me. One of them was Nora Benton, who ran the city's most read lifestyle blog, Southern Lens. I told her everything, every detail. She listened for a long time, then said, You want me to go public? I want people to know who she really is, I said. Not just my hotel guests, everyone. You have receipts? Everything you need. All right. I'll write it up. Just promise me one thing. What's that? Let me publish it before she tries to run. The next day, the article dropped. Title: False Fame. How a local hotel owner exposed a serial social media liar. It was everywhere by noon. Screenshots of Tinsley's fake story. Records of her past lawsuit. Witness statements from my staff. A security cam still showing her screaming at the concierge. Her lies laid bare. Charleston is a small city when it wants to be. Word spreads fast. Suddenly, people started talking. Boutique owners unfollowed her. PR firms blacklisted her. Her followers started dropping by the thousands. Local businesses that used to comp her meals and services started quietly asking her not to return. She didn't check out quietly. Of course she didn't. She came storming into the lobby, dragging her bags, screaming at no one and everyone. I'm suing you all, she shrieked. This is slander. Michael stayed calm, hands behind his back. Everything in the article is true. We have video, audio, and staff statements. And you signed the incident report yesterday. I want my money back. You'll receive an invoice for the damage to the room and the negative impact on our online reputation. Our lawyer will be in touch. Then I walked in. She froze when she saw me. Her eyes wild, face pale and blotchy. She looked like a kid who just realized the rules do apply to her. You wanted attention, I said. Now you've got it. She didn't say a word. Just stormed out, leaving one of her bags behind in her rush. But she wasn't the only one who had something to lose. The next twist came that night. I was in my suite, finally breathing easy when my phone buzzed. It was my assistant, Maria. Laura, I think you need to see this. It was a post. New. From a burner account. No profile picture, no name. But the accusations were clear. It was about me. She's not as sweet as she seems, the post read. Ask her why her ex-husband took out a restraining order. Ask her what really happened in Asheville before she got rich. I froze. My stomach turned cold. It wasn't true. Greg never got a restraining order. But he had made threats to do it after the divorce got messy. And Asheville, that was complicated. A contractor cut corners on a plumbing job. The hotel flooded. I didn't have the money to fix it all at once. Some guests got sick. It was hushed up before it reached the papers. But if someone dug... And then I realized. Tinsley wasn't working alone anymore. Someone else wanted me exposed. And I had a damn good guess who it was. I hadn't heard from Greg in over a year. Last I knew, he moved to Tampa, started dating a woman half his age, and was telling mutual friends that I'd gotten lucky with my business. Now I was looking at a smear campaign, and everything about it felt familiar. The tone, the way it twisted just enough truth to make the lie sound real. It was exactly how Greg fought when he wanted to ruin you without getting his hands dirty. Tinsley might have lit the match, but Greg was pouring gasoline now. I wasn't going to let it go. Not this time. The next morning, I flew to Tampa. Didn't tell anyone. Just packed a small bag and left. I needed to see him face to face. I needed to be absolutely sure. I found him where I knew I would, the patio of the golf club, bourbon in hand, pretending he still mattered. He looked older than I remembered, puffier, red around the nose. But the smug look was exactly the same. He spotted me and smiled like we were old friends. Well, well. The Queen returns. I sat down. Cut the crap. He raised his eyebrows. Trouble in hotel land? You told Tinsley about Asheville, I said flatly. You fed her that story. He didn't deny it. He just shrugged. She reached out. Said you humiliated her. I figured I'd help level the field. You always were a bitter little coward. He leaned back. You think you're untouchable now, but I remember when you were scraping for rent and crying over tax bills. You think people won't believe you're shady? Please. Everyone's got dirt. You're right, I said. Everyone does have dirt. Then I pulled out my phone and hit play. His voice came through loud and clear. She wanted attention. I gave her what she needed. I told her how to hit you where it hurts. I'd been recording since the second I sat down. Florida was a one-party consent state, and I had just what I needed. He lunged for the phone. I stepped back. Don't worry, I said. I'm not posting it. He relaxed for a split second. I'm giving it to the reporter who broke the last story. Along with your name, your connection to the fake account, and copies of the threats you sent me during the divorce. You wouldn't, he said, panicking now. Oh, I would. And I will. The fallout was fast. Tinsley's burner account was traced back to a shared IP address. Her phone had visited Greg's house the week before. Her lawyer tried to spin it as miscommunication, but no one was buying it. Especially not after Southern Lens dropped the second story. Title: Ex-husband, ex-influencer, and the plot to destroy a hotel empire. People were glued to the updates. Greg's girlfriend dumped him. His business partners froze him out. Tinsley lost her last sponsorship, and her influencer career flatlined. She tried rebranding under a different name 2 months later. Didn't work. Her face was too recognizable and too hated. And me? I got burned too. Not everything in the smear campaign was false. The Asheville mess came out. I had to answer questions. Lost a few potential investors. Some people looked at me differently. But you know what? I stood in it. Owned it. I wrote a public letter. Told the truth. No excuses. And the funny thing? People respected me more after that. Because I didn't hide. And I didn't fold. I turned every lie they told into kindling. And I burned them with it.